for some reason, feel that women aren't going to know much, so I better talk to a man. And I'm not going to force myself to try to talk to that customer when I know it's a no-win situation, send in a guy. So if you want the customer, do give him the right person that he's going to relate to. But I think that we have a lot of women at QAD, and the women that are in technology tend to be excellent, because they probably wouldn't go into technology if they weren't, because they know the barriers. And I just don't. I see it as actually more of a benefit, because you are female. People are going to at least let you in to talk to you because you're a novelty, and then if you prove yourself, then you're in. So I've just never allowed myself to be bothered with that.
I just want to make sure I understand you correctly. Are you saying that that women, even today in the 21st century, still have these old biases that they have to overcome, and stereotypes, particularly in business and in technology?
Yeah, and they do, and I think it's just, if you look at the number of people that graduate in technology, the women is maybe 10 or 15%, maybe 20%. My son's just graduating in applied math and physics, and I asked him, how many women are in his class, and he goes, maybe a class of 30 people, maybe 2, there might be 3 in some. That's a problem. So when, they don't expect you to know anything. They don't expect you to be technical if you're a woman, because there's not very many graduating.
Very interesting. Thank you, Pam. We have another question.
Hi, I heard your opinion about investing in real estate. Have you, or what is your view of Santa Barbara Bank and Trust, PCBC? It's been almost penny stocks in the last 6 months, and yet there's a chance to really support your community and make some money, because I don't think it's going under.
Yeah, it's hard for me when I look at stock, unless I really know the company. It's hard for me to read the reports and really decide if that's going to be a worthwhile investment. On the other hand, Santa Barbara Bank and Trust, it has been great for us. We must have been in business, I want to say, 10 years before we borrowed any money. And it was from Santa Barbara Bank and Trust. And so I put together a business plan, went out, and I was looking to borrow like $50,000. And I said, this will be so easy, because I've had an average balance in the bank, my bank account, my checking account, for $50,000 for the last 18 months. Anybody will lend me $50,000. And so I went around town to the different banks, and everybody wanted to have a second, on our house, or a second on our rental property. And I'm saying, no, I want a business loan. I don't want a real estate loan, because I've got, here's my bank. I think, my bank account, look at my credit ratings, look at my, why wouldn't you loan me $50,000? And nobody wanted to do that at the time. They wanted it against real estate, except for Santa Barbara Bank and Trust gave me that loan. So that was great. So I haven't looked at their financial statements. I feel very sad that they're in the situation that they're in, and I kind of, you have to wonder what happened there. Subprime loans, what was it that put them in that bad financial situation? So it certainly would be worth looking at. The reason why I liked real estate starting out particularly was that at least you could live there, even if it was a, falling down house with broken windows. You could actually have an investment that you could actually live there and fix it up and make that work.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. We have another question over here.
Hi, good afternoon. Yeah, I want to know if you can share with us how you went from this idea, your software program that you were going to market, and how did you go about obtaining the first client and getting your market to grow so that you were able to become a global company that you are?
Sure. Well, as I was looking at different technology. We looked at hardware platforms in the time because in the 70s and 80s, you always started off with hardware and then you developed software for that particular hardware, which is quite a bit different than today. Spent some time looking at IBM, looking at digital, and we settled on Hewlett-Packard hardware. The reason why I started manufacturing software was because of Deckers. Deckers had the need for software, and so they were kind of the model company, although I don't think they ended up being our first customer. I think Gyrex in town, who I think was then bought by Allied Signal, was our very first customer. So we studied APEX, which is American Production and Inventory Control, learned, all about inventory control and obviously accounting, and wrote software that met the needs of those type of companies. And then basically cold called, knocked on doors, went out and talked to different customers, companies in mostly the Santa Barbara area about their needs for systems for their business, and was able to, I wish they're all here, but I think our first customers were obviously Deckers, Gyrex, who then was Allied Signal. It was Iris Arc, who made little crystal figurines that eventually sold out to somebody else. Hendry's Mechanical, who sold out to somebody else. So we had quite a few companies here in Santa Barbara. Regular sales, which is actually a great thing to do. If none of you have ever done sales, you should do that, cold calling sales, to, learn how to accept rejection. And
So in your opinion, do you believe that there are new opportunities for young entrepreneurs in the field of technology, and what might some of those
There is tons of opportunities in the field of technology, and I think, you have to look for something that that you'd like to do, and you can see a need in somebody that would buy it. I mean, one of the things that I keep on looking at now is solar lights, maybe for the inside, maybe for the outside. If you look at lighting, you can get those little solar light, things to put in your garden, but they're all quite ugly and pretty, so somebody that has a good industrial engineering capability, also a little technology, could invent maybe the next Bega lighting, but for all solar powered or something. There's, obviously a lot of young people think about writing games. There's been a lot of people, that Warcraft game and, all the different computer games that are on the market have typically all been written by one person working out of their house, publishing it, and probably only 1 out of 10,000 really do well with it. But if you're a really good game writer, that's obviously something that you can go into. But there's all kinds of technologies. You just have to be creative.
And I had a student after this exercise I did in class the other day actually come to my office with what I thought was a really good idea that was technology-based. And the question that he asked me, I really couldn't answer because I didn't have an answer for them. But it was a software-based idea for a technology to be used with a certain type of hardware application, if I'm using the proper language. And so how does somebody that has, let's say, a new software application, is the first and most important thing to get some protection of that? Seek out some...
People think that always. They think, oh, I better get this patent and somebody's going to steal my idea. But ideas are literally a dime a dozen. It's the execution of that idea. So I wouldn't be so concerned once I had an idea about getting any kind of copyright or patent protection. I would be more concerned about developing that into a prototype. And seeing if it actually works, so if you can have a working model of that, and then go from there. But I don't think, I think we finally did copyright our software at one point, but it was years later. Somebody's gonna, you can't be worried about that.
So in terms of what you do today, do you spend a lot of time in developing new applications and then seeking out legal protection after you've developed it, or it's not really on the radar screen?
You know, we don't really spend any time with that. We have filed for a few patents for different algorithms and things that we've done, just kind of, it's fun for